Okay, so it's been a couple of days now since the Crystal Palace game where, of course, the result isn't what everyone's talking about. It's all about Granit Xhaka and what happened on that day. Now, I was going to do a normal Operation Arsenal, a normal career mode video today, but unfortunately they've just updated the PC version. There is a new patch, which, by the way, I recommend you go ahead and check out. There's a lot of changes, but it's broke the mods I'm using, so I can't record it today. But I wanted to do a video like this anyway. I wanted to kind of do an updated, my thoughts on the Xhaka situation, but also, now that we're approaching November, we've had a few months of the season, it feels like it's a good time to maybe look back at what's happened over the last few weeks/months at Arsenal. We need to know what's going to happen with Granit Xhaka and what's going on in the squad, because there's a clear divide. It's very clear to see that there are players that are just simply not happy, and the fans are divided as well. But instead, we get this absolute nonsense. This is utter fluff from the manager here. 48 hours later, and literally this whole entire interview he's had purely about Granit Xhaka, it is the same garbage every single question that he gets asked, the same reply, the same words, the same terminology. We're going to go through it today and talk about it, because literally I've learnt nothing from this article or this interview he's had. I was hoping when they linked this that, one, we would find out whether Granit Xhaka would be captain or not. From now on, whether it's just the near future, just the next game, something. Well, guess what? We didn't get an answer for that. I wanted to hear his thoughts on whether he thought it was right or not what Granit Xhaka has done. And in fairness, he has come out and said that what Xhaka did was wrong and that he thinks Xhaka should apologise, but we haven't had an apology since. I just expected a lot more from this, and it's very frustrating because it's a common trend now with Emery. The whole meme of good evening, everyone says good evening, and it's just, it's quite sad because we think it's funny. We think it's funny hearing our manager talk about what's going on, and that's bad. That's not a good thing. I want a manager that can communicate with the media, with the fans, and help us understand what's going on with our club. You've got to remember, who pays the manager's salary? Who pays for the player's salary? It's the fans. This is ultimately a football club that is being run by the fans who turn up every week, who pay money to watch the team. They wouldn't be anything without the fans. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely vital that you have someone who is in charge of the club, the manager, the board, whoever, that can communicate with the fans really well. Some clubs do it amazingly well, some clubs don't. We don't. We don't communicate it well. We've never been able to really understand what goes on at the club behind the scenes. I think it's got marginally better, especially in the first season when Emery joined. We felt like we were actually getting some answers. And in the summer, we had Josh Kroenke come out and talk about the transfer business. And, in fairness, the transfer window was very successful for us. But again, we're back to square one here with a situation that, in my eyes, is very simple. One, you either back the player, he continues as captain, you move on, he issues an apology, say his anger got the better of him, he regrets it and that he's really sorry and it won't happen again. Or, number two, you criticise the player, which he is doing in this article, and then say very openly and honestly that he's not happy and that Granit Xhaka will not be captain for the foreseeable future, even if it's just for a game or two and he's dropped. Okay? Just give us something, because we're still left in the dark. And it's just hilarious that Xhaka is devastated, sad, and very down. Well, what about us? We're angry as well. The results have been so poor. We're 2-0 up against Crystal Palace within 10 minutes. I mean, even then we didn't feel like we were going to get the win. And the whole reason, don't forget, that this even happened is because Emery continuously plays Granit Xhaka when he's not playing very well. And Granit Xhaka made the just stupid decision to walk off the pitch instead of just getting off. It's 2-2, mate. What are you doing? He brought this upon himself by walking off like that. And that doesn't justify the abuse. I've already talked about it. I disagree with it. I think the treatment of Granit Xhaka on that night was horrible. No one deserves it, but it doesn't make what he did right. He is still in the wrong, and he's partly down to blame, but I think more so it's the manager who, in my eyes, and this is the first time I'm really going to be talking about it, I think he should go. I don't think maybe firing him right now is the right answer, but I definitely do not see a future with Unai Emery at this club. Just quickly going through this article, and you just, you can't believe some of the things he's saying. You know, how Xhaka is after the events on Sunday. His commitment with the club is a great commitment every time. He wants to help. His behaviour was perfect in training with the group and with the club. It's just a load of nonsense. It's blah, 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 blah. Why are you talking about this? This is the question. How is Xhaka? Literally, you can end it here. He's not doing good, but he trained well. So move on. Next question. All of this is a bunch of crap. On if he thinks Xhaka should have apologised. Yes, I think when we make individual mistakes, we need to make apologies for the circumstances. I prefer to do that. We suggest to him to do it. Force him to do it. He's an employee. You're paying him. Tell him, apologise, or you're not going to be captain. If you don't apologise, social media, whatever it has to be, just say sorry. You can be honest and say, look, imagine Xhaka's posting this right now. I'm sorry that I reacted like that. I felt awful. I wasn't happy with the reception I received, but I understand and my reaction was not good enough and I apologise and I hope you'll accept my apology. Something like that. We would be more than okay with that. On if he expects an apology to follow. But now, what is the response we are seeing? It's that he is devastated and he is very down. First is to recover him, his feelings. We need our family, our friends, our supporters to support. I mean, it's just a load of crap. Do you think he's going to apologise? And then you just say, I don't know. Because clearly, you don't know. On if he is still the right person to be captain of Arsenal. Now, this is the one that really gets on my nerves. I explained why I decided that. He has the values, he has the respect in the dressing room, he has experience, he is the captain of his national team, he has the conditions to be the captain. I decided that and the players respect that. So, could you answer the question for us, Unai? Is he still the right person? What he's saying is he's just justifying why he was made captain in the first place. And that's not what we're asking here. It's, is he the right captain, right for the captaincy now? After what's happened on Sunday, things have changed. Is he still the right man for the job? Is he the right player to be captain of Arsenal Football Club? And it's just a load of waffle once again. On if that means Xhaka is still the captain of Arsenal. So you can see the person asking the questions here is just probing, just asking. So he didn't react to this one very well. Let's try another one. We need to go step by step. Step by step. First is to recover him as a human. It's the same stuff. And then we are going to continue speaking about how we can improve, how we can continue in that way with him, with the team and with everybody. This is rubbish. So then he tries again on suggesting that means he won't be captain. No, no, no. At the moment, I am not speaking and I don't want to speak about that. He could have said that the first question. There are 3 questions in a row that are basically the same question. Is Granit Xhaka going to be captain? Simple. Just say yes or no. Or at this point, that he's not going to speak about it publicly, that they're still making a decision. He just loves to waffle. He loves to talk absolute nonsense. Really, really frustrating to read this. It just goes on whether it will affect his future here. We can maybe remind some similar situations in the past for players and they came back. For example, I was speaking with Hector Bellerin. He said to me that he received some criticism 3 years ago at the Emirates Stadium in one moment because people weren't happy with his performance, and then he came back. Yeah, now what we're looking at there, and I think I remember the exact moment that Bellerin is bringing up there. Bellerin had a terrible game, he got booed for it. The thing is, right, the reason he can come back is because we know it was an off game. We know that Bellerin was struggling at that moment, okay? We know he's got qualities. He's still very young at the time. He was, probably 20, 21 when this happened. We're talking about a 27-year-old that's been appointed captain who has been dog awful for 3 seasons, that hasn't showed any improvement, hasn't helped the team in any way, that consistently lets the club down with his individual errors. It's completely different. So that's great that Bellerin's mentioning that, but it has nothing on what's going on here. This is a completely different situation, but he's just looking for ways to dodge the question. And I don't want a manager that does this. How difficult is it for players to deal with criticism on social media? We are aware now how our situation is. The first thing now is to achieve, again, emotional balance in us, confidence, and we need to use each match to do one step, looking for that confidence, a good result, playing as good as we can. I'm sorry, am I missing something here? Am I being overly harsh? This is completely bollocks. It's just rubbish. And I can't stand it. 48 hours almost we've had since this happened. And you're telling me that you've not made a decision yet. All you've done is you've spoke with Granit and you've told him that he was wrong and that he should probably apologise. No, I'm sorry. You're managing one of the biggest clubs in Europe, okay? Arsenal are a massive club. You sit down with Granit Xhaka that night. Reports are that he went home. He went straight home after the game and a few players went over and spent some time with him because he was upset. Sure, players will do that. Okay, they play and they do everything together. For every season they play at the club, they're together, they're a unit. I get that. Call him in for a meeting. Or at the very least, you say tomorrow, come into my office and you sit down with him and you tell him how you feel. Whether it's, I understand what happened, it wasn't good enough, but I'm backing you. Or, which it really should be, and what seemingly is his response, Granit, that was shocking. You don't do that. You're captain of the club. You've just lost your captaincy. Go home. You're not playing in the next game. You're being fined your wages for the day. Whatever. Telling the fans to F off. Goading them. Cupping his ear. Throwing his shirt off. Throwing the captain armband on the floor. I didn't even see that when it happened. His name came up. He literally whacked his armband off and he threw it on the floor. I'm sorry, Granit, but that is shocking. No matter how good you think you are, no matter how important you think you are, that is so disrespectful. Throwing a captain's armband and then taking the top off as well. It's so disrespectful. There are millions and millions and millions of people who would kill to be in your position, captaining Arsenal Football Club, earning 100 grand a week. Some ridiculous benefits of being a professional athlete in today's world. It's just mind-blowing, and you don't care? Is that what it is? So Emery is being weak. He's waffling in the media, and it's a joke. If Granit Xhaka starts the next game, it's official for me. Emery out. Let's move on to the next part. I want to go through this and talk about where I think we need improvements, but also what's going wrong with the personnel we've already got. In general, I think we have got a very good squad. We've got players in every position that can do a job. I think that Pepe is starting to come good. We've still got a massive strike force. Martinelli scoring a lot of goals as well. Nelson can still play. I don't know why he's been dropped more recently. We've got Xhaka coming through. Aubameyang and Lacazette, of course, you can't go wrong with them. I think if Emery was to leave in January, or at least at the end of the season, I think then Ozil would start to play. But it's pretty clear that it's not just Emery that doesn't want Mesut Ozil playing. It's the board as well. He's costing us too much money. So you might as well just get rid of him, to be fair. Like, we don't use him, do we? So, yeah, that's the way that is. There's nothing we can do about that. I think that potentially midfield is a problem, especially with Granit Xhaka. Is it potentially now time? Is he no longer going to be able to play for us because of this? It doesn't seem like it, does it? Feels like Emery's going to back him and that he will start in the next game. But for me, because of what's happened, gone. I just... He was linked with Inter in the summer. I wish he went now. I really do. The main thing that I just can't get over at the moment is Torreira. Maybe now that Granit Xhaka will be dropped, Torreira will come in and we'll actually get him playing every game. He can play week in, week out. He's so young. He's got so much stamina and energy. There's no way that Torreira shouldn't be getting a run of form now, a run of games, just to play as well as he can in his proper position. In the Serie A, he was one of the best defensive midfielders in the league. Most tackles, recoveries. He was brilliant. And that's why we signed him, yet we don't play him in that position. It drives me mad. He should be literally here, just sitting in front of the defenders. You know, and then Guendouzi and Willock or Ceballos can be where they are in this image, just slightly further forward. It would change the system, and that's such a vital part of what's going wrong right now. It's the system. It's crap. We're coming into November now, where, yes, arguably we've only lost twice this season, but way too many draws, and the wins have been bad. We haven't played well. We haven't deserved to be winning some games. I'd say only in the Europa League, with a couple of those victories, were we actually playing good football, and that included most of the youngsters anyway. But the system has to change. And will it change? No, because Emery is just as stubborn, if not more stubborn than Arsene Wenger was. When it comes to the system he wants to play, I don't see him changing it. Simple as that. I'm going to end the video here because there's only so many things I can say. But this article, please do go and read it all the way through if you want to have a good laugh. Emery, for me, is on such thin ice. He's literally one step away from breaking that ice and being fired. But we don't know how Arsenal will react. We've only fired Wenger in the last 20 years or so. Like, it doesn't happen here. We don't do that. And I think they are going to back Emery, and that's a shame. They can only do so much. They've given him the money. They've given him the signings he wanted. Now it's his turn to actually perform and get us results, which he isn't doing. So thanks for watching. It's good to get it off my chest. Please, don't play Xhaka on the weekend. Please, please.